there's another thing I've learned along the way, which I wouldn't have gotten exposed to, I don't think, if I wasn't working in well, some of it was working in healthcare. One of it was actually a chance encounter with somebody at a lean startup conference, a chance encounter with a social worker who was becoming an entrepreneur in her space, and we were talking at a networking event. And she told me about an approach called motivational interviewing, not to be confused with, let's say, motivational speaking. But motivational interviewing has its roots in clinical counseling and addiction counseling, where some of the key lessons are telling somebody they should change. It's that doesn't work. Telling somebody so then I've heard people in different workplaces say, "Well, okay, yeah, yeah, we're not going to tell them what to do. We're going to tell them why it's important to change, and then we're gonna involve them in figuring out what to do." Well, people might not agree with the reason why to change. So what proves very effective, whether it's in counseling or in workplace settings, is to ask instead of tell. Like if somebody and I think like one example, I think this is kind of textbook motivational interviewing if I can, a quick story. A nurse manager at a client was admittedly struggling. I think I had been sent to go talk to her because she was struggling. She wasn't doing her daily huddles. They were getting canceled because they were in crisis mode. And, I went to talk to her. Look, I'm a consultant, I'm a coach. I'm not there to chew her out. If they had wanted to do that, they would have done that. But she said, I want to do them, but I can't, and I feel stuck. And that's an important thing to lean into, right? She wasn't being resistant to change, and I hate throwing that label at people. That's very blamey. But as you learn in motivational interviewing, she had reasons to do it. She had reasons to not do it, and she was kind of caught in the middle. And the one lesson from motivational interviewing was for me to ask her, not to lecture her of why it was important to do these huddles, but to ask her, well, like, it sounds like this is important to you. Truthful affirmation on my part. It sounds like this is important to you. If you think about it, like, what are the top 3 reasons why you wanna do it? And she thought, she's like, "Well, it'll better engage my team. We're gonna have more participation. We're gonna have more improvement." But, like, she saying those things out loud.
Well, she had thought through it. I mean, she wasn't sitting over there just in her corner, just saying, "No, I'm not going to do it." She had her own reasons.
And so there's science, some science behind the idea of saying it out loud, being helpful. And then, kind of asking her, you have to help someone strengthen that commitment to change before you start saying, well, what do you think you might do differently? But just even having her say those things out loud, I could see her body language change. And she's like, yeah, you could tell, I forget exactly what she said, but it was, she felt more confident that she could prioritize that. Now, if you ask people, what are the barriers? What are the reasons why you can't do it? That just reinforces the not doing it. So you have to be careful and not get some of that motivational interviewing interaction backward. But I think that's an important lesson because I think as an engineer and in business, we're taught to focus on the barriers instead of, I think, focusing on strengthening the motivation.
They ought to train motivational interviewing to every couple before they get married. I think I think that'd be very, very helpful in that regard.
If I'm addicted to leaving my socks laying there in the middle of the floor, you know, have a conversation of
Why is that a good idea?
my wife asking, "Honey, why is it important to you to pick the socks up off the floor?"